What's up guys, welcome back to the Piston Show. I'm Kashi Dylan. Today I have here the new second generation BMW 218 Gran Coupe. So it's no longer known as the 218i, it's something to do with a new direction from Munich in terms of the naming strategy at least. So we first saw the 2 Series in Malaysian market back in about the year 2020 if I'm not mistaken. And it surprised Malaysians and it surprised BMW Malaysia as well. Simply because it was well received by Malaysians and BMW Malaysia shifted over 4,500 units of the 218i back then. So it was a success story. In fact, we do see the 2 Series Gran Coupe quite a lot on our roads. And the car behind me, the 218 Gran Coupe, is slotted or tasked with continuing on the success story that first started 5 years ago. But after spending some time with it, I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. I do understand the appeal, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'll let you know exactly what I think about the new BMW 218 in this video. So stick around if you want to find out whether it's worth the 241,000 ringgit that BMW Malaysia wants for it. Starting off with the design of the car, well, this is the part that I'm not sure what to think of, because I mean, it's an obvious evolution of the 2 Series, or some like to call it the 2GC, the 2 Series Gran Coupe. But sometimes evolution is not necessarily a good thing. I just have a problem with this grille. It just looks like they didn't know whether they wanted it to be vertical or they wanted it to be horizontal. So someone just said, F it, I'm just going to have both. I like the headlights, particularly the vertical daytime running lights. They look really good, no doubt about that. And this slot over here is actually functional. So I have this stick over here and I'm going to stick it through here, and this will show us that there you go, look. So this stick kind of broke, but this just shows us that this louvre over here is functional. So what does it do? Well, it aids aerodynamics, and in some cars it actually channels air towards the brakes and towards the wheels, so it aids with brake cooling as well. I'm not sure if it does that in this 2GC, but well, for sure it will definitely aid with aerodynamics. Now I've kind of had my way with the grille already, and besides that, I think the entire front end looks a little bit Korean, if you ask me, but make of that what you will. The side profile is where the term Gran Coupe actually gets its name from, because of the dramatic way that this A-pillar just rises above and then drops dramatically into the C-pillar over here. So this gives it its coupe-like body style, and this has allowed BMW to use these very sexy frameless doors. Now these are becoming quite rare these days, so appreciate frameless doors while they're still around. And I also like how BMW has embossed this letter 2, this number 2, into this Hofmeister kink over here. If you do not know what Hofmeister kink actually is, I suggest you Google it, but it's just this little part over here and how it sort of just kinks up. I can't remember when it started, but it's now an iconic BMW design lingo. So at the back, well, it's again an obvious evolution of the design that we first saw with the first generation 2GC. The tail lights are slightly wider and slightly shorter as compared to the ones previously, which I think sort of stretched until here. And you get a 2-tiered design over here, if I can say that. So this is your first tier to accommodate the larger BMW badge over here, and this is your second tier for the number plates, the lights and such. And if you notice, you don't really see the tailpipes, the exhaust pipes on the 2 Series Gran Coupe. So this has got something to do with the international design language of the 2GC, but there is a high performance version of the 2GC which we do not get here in Malaysia. So with that you get quad exhaust. So what about boot space? Well, for one, keep in mind that you're paying 241,000 ringgit for a car that does not come with a powered tailgate. 241 grand. And to think that some cars cost less than 100,000 ringgit and they come with a powered tailgate. I don't know, BMW, I really do not know. Anyway, you get the same boot space as before, roughly about 430 litres of boot space, and there's no spare wheel. You don't get any spare wheel over here, and neither do you get a tyre repair kit. No tyre repair kit in a car that costs 241,000 ringgit. I'm just hoping that BMW Malaysia just removed the tyre repair kit because this car changes hands quite a lot, so I'm hoping they just removed it so that it doesn't get lost. If you are a BMW salesperson in Malaysia, let me know if the 2 Series Gran Coupe comes with a tyre repair kit. Fingers crossed that it does, because at 241,000 ringgit, it better do. So what about the powertrain of the 218? Well, it's powered by the same 1.5 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. It's slightly more powerful with 158 horsepower and 213 Newton meters of torque sent to the front wheels through a 7-speed transmission. Now 0 to 100 is seen off in slightly over 8 seconds, slightly about 8.6 seconds, and it has a top speed, slightly higher top speed than before at 230 kilometers per hour. So we Malaysians, we are quite judgmental of 3-cylinder engines, and can't blame them because it makes some weird noises and vibrations as well. I'll show you. So I have this bottle over here. Let's call it the bottle of truth, right? And place it there. So bro, let's start. Just watch this. Look at the amount of vibrations there are. And it's vibrating so viciously, okay, that it shakes the bottle, and it kind of has that clatter, that diesel clatter. But this is not a BMW problem, it's a 3-cylinder engine problem. And that's just the way that 3-cylinder engines naturally tend to be, because keep in mind that, imagine that these are 2 cylinders and this is a single cylinder, so it's not very balanced. So that's a typical character of 3-cylinder engines. They're noisier, they produce a lot of vibrations, and that just means that over time it can get a little bit harsher. But considering by how many units of the 218 that BMW Malaysia has sold, I don't think Malaysians are too concerned about the 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine powering the 2GC. For the interior, first things first, start up the engine and aircon for sure. And let's start with this, the now very popular BMW curved display. So this curved display is obviously one giant display. You get about 10.25 inches for your instrument cluster and about 10.7 inches for your infotainment system. As you can see, you obviously get a wireless Apple CarPlay, and on top of that, you get this. One thing I like about the BMW operating systems, I have to give some credit where it's due. And right now it runs on BMW operating system 9, if I'm not mistaken. And it has a very smartphone-like layout. Right now, it's just giving all of the vehicle apps that you can see here. But if I tap on all, now it's giving me all of the onboard, let's call this applications or widgets or something like that. And the thing about this is it's laid out in a very smartphone-like fashion, which is quite clever because this is basically how everything is laid out on our phones. So just having it laid out over here means that the learning curve is not very steep because we are so used to this layout on our phone, so why not have it in our cars? And you can see that there are some key applications or widgets over here that are reflected on this main menu. Keep in mind that it says all over here, so this is all the widgets. So for example, YouTube Music in CarPlay, this basically it's basically a shortcut to YouTube Music, and music is over here, Google Maps, SoundCloud, Telegram, WhatsApp, calendar in CarPlay. Anything that says CarPlay is basically a reflection of all the apps or slash widgets that are available in CarPlay. So this is quite clever. I really like this, and so credit due where it's deserved. Well done, BMW. And besides that, you can see that the entire interior, the dash, is different. We Malaysians like to call it same but different, right? So the difference over here is centered around this area over here, the curved display aside. It's centered over here because previously, with the previous two series, you used to have the something called HVAC, HVAC, heating, ventilation, and climate control. So all of the air conditioning controls were laid out over here, easy access. But right now, heating, ventilation, audio, and air conditioning controls or something like that, because all of your audio controls were also laid out here. But now it's all laid out in this infotainment screen over here. So this basically means that this is quite minimalist. They like to call it that these days, even though I think minimalism is just another fancy word for cost cutting. But let's just play along. Now, besides that, you can see that this button over here is quite clever because this is how you adjust the air conditioning vent. And it works fine. It looks a little bit complicated. My 5-year-old son was in here yesterday and he was like, "Daddy, what is this?" I'm like, "You can play with it." And he very soon figured out that this is for your air conditioning vent that is placed in there. And this is just an empty slot over here, and this is your wireless charge pad, cup holders, obviously twin Type-C USB ports. And the other thing that is missing from here is two things actually, your iDrive controller and your gear selector. So you don't have a gear selector anymore, but you do have something called a knob. Is that what you call this thing? The gear knob? Because this is how you change gears lah. So reverse, neutral, drive, low gears, drive, and park. Your volume button over here, access to your defroster, your 360-degree cameras, and your driving modes and such. You get a decent amount of storage everywhere, and all in all, it's not a bad place because I feel like it feels well built. Quality seems good. I do pick up some vibrations and such on the move, but it is what it is. And the thing that I have to point out over here is this part over here. Well, I'm not sure what to make of this. This is actually your air conditioning vent, but at the same time, it's finished in this graphite aluminum thing over here, which is backlit. So it's backlit over here, it's backlit over here, and it's backlit somewhere down here. So this is just your multiple different ambient lights that you get. So you get a few different ambient lights, roughly about, let me just show you. Interior lighting, ambient lights. You get this many ambient lights, about 15 of those. So yeah, some cars come with 256, some cars come with 15. I don't particularly get excited about ambient lights. How often do we change ambient lights anyway? Okay, focus. So in terms of seats, you get 2 electric seats with a memory function for the driver. They're perforated and wrapped in something called Veganza vegan leather. Yeah, they look good, they're comfortable, and they're electronically adjustable, except for this part over here for your thigh support. So your thigh support needs to be adjusted manually. Nice. Oh, and they also come with ISOFIX mounts for the front seats. So this is quite important for all you mummies and daddies out there, where if you're having a problematic child that insists on keep sitting in the front seat, you can just latch on the baby seat, and you can turn off the passenger airbag from the instrument cluster over here. Sorry, the infotainment system. Okay, now we see how a 6-foot tall Punjabi guy fits in the back seats of the 2 Series Gran Coupe. Okay lah, I mean, I can get comfortable back here. I mean, I wouldn't want to spend a lot of time back here, but it's not bad. And so in terms of headroom, not much, but this is a sloping roofline thanks to the coupe-like body style. Knee room, not exactly the most spacious, but it's decent. You get plenty of light coming in. You get 2 Type-C USB ports and 2 air conditioning vents. I cannot be complaining about everything, so I would say that it's quite a decent place, except that if you have growing children and you want to put them in a child seat, you might have them kicking the back of the front seat at about 3 years old onwards, so that can be a little bit annoying. Alright, so let's go find out how the 218 GC actually drives. But before we do that, I just want you to hear how it sounds like on startup. So to start it up, foot on the brake, press the start button, and yeah, it really is that loud. And you just feel a slight sort of quiver that the car goes left to right and such. That is just a typical trait of 3-cylinder engines. So driving the 218, I mean, for me, it's a bittersweet experience. I like it and I don't like it at the same time. I don't like the part where I hear a lot of what is happening with the world underneath the car. And what I mean by that is tire roar. I hear a lot of the tire noise intruding back into the cabin. It's very unbecoming of the Goodyear ultra high performance tires. So perhaps, you know, better insulation or even active noise cancellation would do the 218 some good. But right now, at about anything above 80 kilometers, 70 to 80 kilometers per hour, and you hear a lot of the world outside and underneath the car. This, and you also hear the engine. Listen to this. So ultimately, it comes down to the type of buyer that buys the 218. Are they buying the 218 because they appreciate the engineering that has gone into a BMW? Or are they buying a BMW because it's a BMW? Are they buying it for the badge? So this is a question only they can answer, of course. But if you like well-engineered cars, insulated cars, perhaps the 3 or the 5 Series would be a better buy from that perspective alone. But according to BMW, while I was doing my research for this review, I actually came across the press release from the international launch, and that said that a lot of work has gone to the chassis and the suspension components of the car. And that is what I like about the 218. I like the way it handles. It's very, very sharp. I mean, of course, for this price point, it's very decent. But what other cars can you get at this price point that handle really well and are very fun to drive as well? I am thinking about the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Slightly more expensive, for sure, no doubt, I'll acknowledge that. But really fun to drive. More power, in fact. Smaller, but more power. And if you want something that is fun to drive, perhaps the Golf GTI would be something that you would like to look at. But again, if it's the badge and the space that you want, then the 218 is a very tempting proposition. I'm not saying that it's not fun to drive, but when I put my foot down, I would just like to be shoved into the seat a little bit more. And that just brings me to my point about the pricing of the 218. So when I first started my career in automotive journalism, roughly about 20 years ago, you could buy an entry-level 3 Series for about 220, 230,000 ringgit. And these days, you only get a 218 Gran Coupe for that same price point. So I'm not sure what has changed. I don't think it's the government's fault over here. Raw material, the pricing of raw material has gone up. Pricing strategies are now different. There are new models in the market, such as the 218, which didn't exist 20 years ago. So the entry level was just the 3 Series, and I can't remember if the 1 Series was around. I don't think the 1 Series was around back then. So this is a nice corner, just slight tap on the brakes and let the this is the beauty of the BMW. It handles very, very nice, particularly for a front wheel drive machine. I like it in that sense. So a couple of things to look out for if you're considering the 218. Tire roar, very, very audible. For me, it's borderline annoying. The other thing that you should look out for is that at highway speeds, you don't only hear the tire roar, but you'll hear wind noise intrusion back into the cabin as well. A couple of vibrations from the dashboard, the rattles and such that you'll hear again. And but if you can look past all of that, I think the 218 is an interesting proposition. You get wireless Apple CarPlay, you get a decent sound system, you arrive with a BMW badge on your bonnet. But if you are looking for a good deal, then I'm sorry, BMW Malaysia, but there are a lot of good deals out there in the market right now that are cheaper and such. And this is ultimately a car that does not even give you a powered tailgate for 241,000 ringgit. It's not, I do not know about you, it's not exactly a deal breaker for not having a powered tailgate, but not having a spare wheel, and neither do you get a tire repair kit. Now that for me is something that I am not a fan of. I mean, come on now, how difficult is it to give a tire repair kit, right? But besides that, I could live with this. I would just need a tow truck as my, shortcut phone numbers in case my tire springs a leak. Anyway, in closing, 241 grand for the BMW 218 Gran Coupe. This is of course with all the warranties and such that BMW Malaysia sort of does the Air Asia thing with it. We'll give you a car, we'll give you a 2-year warranty with it, and we'll charge you maybe about 210, 220,000 ringgit. But if you want a longer warranty, such as a 5-year warranty, like what we used to do back then without charging you extra for it, then we will charge you a little bit more. roughly about 20 to 30k more for an extended warranty. So that's how BMW, not only BMW Malaysia but worldwide, and it's not only a BMW thing, it's a automotive industry thing. They've suddenly realized that one of the best ways that they can make money is by charging you extra for longer warranties. Anyway, 241 grand for the BMW 218 Gran Coupe. I think there are better deals out there, but for a car, I can't get past the way it looks, but the way it drives, I quite like it. Thank you for watching, guys. As usual, do consider subscribing.